All right, so this is Coffee Time with Abcadeas, the show where you might see me take a sip out of this here coffee, which is actually empty as of right now. But more or less, I just rant about anything and everything that interests me. And as you can see on the screen here, courtesy of Just Playing the Classics, I'll have a link down below to their channel. They have graciously given me permission to use their footage. I initially kind of thinking about how to make this video, I wanted to make it a bit more of a scripted video essay affair, but I also thought that I could get my thoughts out well enough in more of this rant coffee time format, so I'm giving it a try, and if I really don't like the end result, you may never see this, but nonetheless. The topic I want to talk about today is the recent Goldeneye re-release remaster. Came out on Switch and Xbox. To give you a little bit of history with this is where I started playing video games. It was a mix between Goldeneye and Super Mario 64. I feel for most people around my age, around 25, 26, that's probably a very similar story. So obviously, this game in particular holds a very special place in my heart. And I just kind of wanted to talk about the re-release. I wouldn't call it a remaster, but the re-release of this game opposed to especially the Rockstar Grand Theft Auto trilogy debacle. So, one important thing to know about the whole issue surrounding GoldenEye is obviously Rare, the company that actually made the game that has the rights to the original source code. They've been in disputes with Nintendo, starting in, I guess it would have been 2000, 2001. Rare started looking for people to buy them out, additional companies to go to help fund their projects. So they started to look at Microsoft. Microsoft eventually bought Rare out. As a result of that, any of the properties, especially like Banjo-Kazooie, they were heavily debated on whether or not they were a Nintendo property or a Rare property. Obviously, Rare eventually got the rights to Banjo-Kazooie. They made the nuts and bolts game. But there's definitely no love lost between Nintendo and Rare. So to see Banjo and Kazooie and GoldenEye come out on the Nintendo Switch Online service is nothing short of a feat, a feat of corporate diplomacy. How should we put it? So the main reason you've seen two different versions, one coming out on the Switch and one coming out on the Xbox, obviously Rare being owned by Microsoft, having rights to the original source code, they can actually modify that original source code. So they can implement a modern control scheme, they can update the graphics, update the textures, whereas Nintendo only has rights to, I believe it's the actual ROM file. I'm not sure like how exactly that copyright works, but what Nintendo has the rights to is this finished copy of the game that released in 1997. So Nintendo wasn't actually allowed to implement any changes on a coding level. From what I understand, they did do some work inside of the emulator to get this 16 by 9 widescreen to function. That was something that was in the original N64 title, but Nintendo did have to do some work to get it to work inside of their emulator. But other than that, this is basically a direct port of GoldenEye. And I have seen nothing but people shitting on particularly this version, complaining that it's not an updated control scheme, that everything is so outdated, so clunky, and it bewilders me to a large degree. Like, this is a game that Nintendo hasn't been able to re-release on any of their services, like the Wii U Virtual Console. That they've never been able to re-release it. This is the first time GoldenEye has been re-released officially since 1997. So getting it in any way, shape, or form, to me, is a blessing. But having been playing this version, just playing the classics here, to my knowledge, is playing the Switch version. Although he does play it with the official Nintendo N64 controller, Not the actual original N64 controller, the updated version for the Switch that is wireless. I don't think it's Bluetooth, it's a different kind of wireless. But I believe he is using that controller. But I've been using the Joy-Cons attached to the Switch in portable mode this entire time, and I can tell you, I've had nothing but a wonderful time. The dead zone of the Joy-Con of the Nintendo Switch makes aiming a bit difficult in some scenarios, especially like when you're looking towards the I believe it's the second or the third last level. I can't even remember what it's called, but where you have to defend Natalia, who that's actually who my cat is named after. That's how much I love this game. But where you have to defend Natalia as she's disabling the Goldeneye satellite in that big kind of computer room. Initially, when you first start that mission on the secret agent and double O agent modes, as you get out of the elevator, there's like 3 turrets there that require you to aim very quickly, very precisely, and the Joy-Cons made that a very, very bad time. I had to create suspend points basically every little bit of progress I made until I got past that room with the turrets. But even considering that, I'm having an absolute blast with this game. I am absolutely just over the moon that it's even released on modern consoles, that it's available. It's available through the Nintendo Online Extra subscription service, so it's the Nintendo Online Plus. It's not just the regular, but still, I just think it's amazing that it's available. And like I said, I've had nothing but fun with it, and especially when you compare it to what Rockstar did with the GTA trilogy, where they had a third-party company take the mobile ports of the game, so not even the original source code, but they took the mobile ports of the game, essentially slapped on an HD texture pack, updated the lighting, and released it to the public in the absolutely broken, ugly, horrible state that it released in. There is no excuse for that. And on top of it, Rockstar actually removed the original versions of Grand Theft Auto from the Steam store. So for the longest time, I think it may have, those original versions may have come back up now, but for the longest time, those very terrible remastered versions were the only way to download and play those games. And as a matter of fact, all the original versions actually have something called the GTA Definitive Project or Definitive Edition Project, which is just a mod, a simple like 3-click install mod that did everything that the Rockstar remaster should have done, or Grove Street remasters, because I believe that was the name of the company that actually that Rockstar contracted to do those remasters. But the modding community has done everything that they should have done. Optimize the graphics, optimize the controls, got rid of a lot of the bugs, glitches. It's overall a better experience getting those original versions, even if you maybe have to get them through less than legal means, and then actually modding them and essentially remastering them yourself. That tends to be a better experience than downloading what Rockstar has released as the definitive version themselves. And I can't say the same thing about this version of GoldenEye opposed to the original cartridge. The original cartridge, I have to either find a CRT or I have to hook it up to my LCD television and deal with an absolutely horrible delay, absolutely horrible tessellation, screen tearing, all of these issues that result from old consoles not translating onto newer TV hardware. Whereas I could just boot up this version of the game on my Switch, not worry about running any kind of special emulator, or having to do a million things in the settings of my TV, or get a conversion box to get rid of the delay. Like, I don't have to think about any of these things. I just launch my Switch and play the game. And even, I've played, I believe it's called Project 1964, because there was Project 64, which is just an N64 emulator, but there's one that is specifically built for GoldenEye and Perfect Dark to give you mouse and keyboard controls, 60 frames a second, 1080p resolution. Like, those are, that is a really great way to play both GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. But even compared to playing it that way, the optimized way for PC that gave me more control, made me better at the game, I would still prefer to play it on Switch, because with that version, I've had it installed and just chilling on my computer for like a year or two. Haven't touched any of the files, any of the emulator files, and I went back to use it the other day, and it's completely fucking broken. I had to spend a half hour, 45 minutes reading through forums, uninstalling, reinstalling. There was one thing that is a plus to that is there are several modified versions or reimagined versions of Goldeneye. One that takes the plotline of Goldfinger, which I believe is a Roger Moore James Bond movie, but did it basically that whole movie in the engine of Goldeneye. So that kind of stuff is available, but I had to go through a whole rigmarole to get that to work. Basically, copying a version of the Goldeneye source file, modifying it with the Goldfinger source file, and when I went back to play that, that was completely fucking broken, with no intervention from me whatsoever. So, of course, there's better ways, better experiences at the end of the day. I am perfectly happy with this. It is a 25-year-old game, and Nintendo just released a ROM of it. Like, they literally, legally cannot do more. This isn't a circumstance of a company like Rockstar taking the properties that literally made their company what it is today, handing it off to a third-party company, having absolutely no oversight, and releasing a very terrible product at the end of the day. This is Nintendo fighting tooth and nail to actually get this title released, and releasing it in the only way they legally could. So I'm more than happy with it. I tried the Xbox version and the Xbox controls, and they are so clunky and so different than what GoldenEye controls should be. Like, I get it. People are used to modern shooter controls. They want two analog sticks to look and move separately. But I don't believe that's the way this game was intended. It's not the way it's coded. It doesn't play very well. The second stick looking control doesn't feel nice. It doesn't feel natural to me. Like, I absolutely hated it. And I've mainlined Call of Duty since Call of Duty 4 on an Xbox 360. So I'm very used to first-person shooters with dual analog thumbsticks. And I still did not enjoy the experience of this game on the Xbox at all. So, excuse me. But basically, I think that is more or less everything I wanted to say. So I don't think I'll need to do a video essay version of this. I didn't have quite enough to say to break it down into that. Again, thank you so much to Just Playing the Classics. I'll have the link to their channel below. Thank you so much for letting me use your footage. It was great to just kind of have it in the background as I was talking. Obviously, this isn't one of my normal style videos where I'm looking at sources and world events. This is more so just something that interests me personally. But again, that's kind of the theme of what I'm doing here, is I don't want to just be giving daily updates on the Ukraine conflict or the ongoing issues with China or one particular issue in Canadian politics. Like, I'm here just to talk about whatever I'm interested in at the time. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that have been watching my videos so far that have no interest in this one and probably won't even watch. And I'm sure there's lots of people that will watch this one and then see the rest of my content and turn away. So I'm probably not doing the best strategy in terms of fighting the YouTube algorithm, but that's not really what I'm here to do. I'm just here to have a bit of fun, do something that's nice and easy, rant at a camera for anywhere from 15 to 50 minutes. And, I'm enjoying it so far. If you have any topic, any piece of tech, anything to do with Canada, United States, China, Russia, even places like Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar, I want to try to get into more of those specific issues, but I don't like to speak on something that I'm not really knowledgeable on. I may still make the occasional mistake, or I may misspeak on certain topics, but in general, I don't want to speak or get into a topic that I don't know anything about, that I don't have any preconceived notion of, that I haven't talked to people that are being affected by the issue. Like, as I'm going to do this wider video on Canadian gun control, I'm kind of making a point to reach out to some gun owners and people that are affected by the bill, watching videos from Canadian firearms lawyers and really getting an understanding of not only what these policies are on paper, but their actual physical, tangible, material effect on the people that they're directed towards. So, if you suggest a topic, if it is a breaking news topic, I will try to cover it as soon as I am comfortable with doing so. But I'm not going to just open up a news article, read it out loud, and be like, wow, this is crazy. This is America falling apart. It's not what I'm here to do. If you want breaking up-to-date news, this is not the channel for it. It's a channel that is just some thoughts, some opinions, some feelings, some of which may not always be correct, but nonetheless, I am putting them out there. So thank you for watching. This has been one of my shorter videos. Hope you enjoyed the topic nonetheless, but regardless, have a gooder.